Let's move on. Let's talk about Notre Dame's defensive back room. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're like, who's over there besides Benjamin Morrison and Xavier Watts? Well, let's talk about Benjamin Morrison and Xavier Watts before we move on. Okay. Benjamin Morrison. He was a true sophomore last year. I mean, did you watch the Ohio State game? Did you watch Marvin Harrison Jr. do absolutely nothing? Yeah. I mean, look, if there was a game that you were to point to and be like, okay, Marvin Harrison Jr., yeah, sure, he should have won the Blintnikoff in 2022, but he certainly did not deserve to win it in 2023. This would be the game that you would probably turn on and be like, yeah, Benjamin Morrison absolutely locked him up. So, yeah, you're looking at a guy in Benjamin Morrison that has been productive, not only against the good talent that they play against, but the elite generational talents Benjamin Morrison has put in the work, right?
Yeah, I mean, and he not even just Marvin Harrison, who by the way, like you said, the only game other than Indiana when they were breaking in a couple quarterbacks. I mean, in Rutgers when it was weird weather outside, like Notre
Yeah.
Dame was a big time game, and they he had a lot of targets in that game, and they only caught three of them, and two of them. I mean, one of the catches on Morrison was just an acrobatic catch. Morrison was in perfect position. He even kind of got to the ball, and it was beautiful catch by Marv. But I mean, he did it to USC, right? They had their worst output of the year offensively. I mean, Morrison. I mean, yes, it helped. Uh, Last year having is it Cam Hart across from him, but
Yeah.
Morrison
Who's
was
gone
the
now?
guy in
Went to
that
the
room.
NFL.
Yeah, Morrison was the guy in the room, and I expect him to be, top three, top five cornerback in a pretty loaded cornerback class, in my opinion, with Denzel Burke, obviously Trav Hunter, but Benjamin Morrison to me is right in that tier one of elite lockdown corners that gives Marcus Freeman the versatility to do a lot of things with his defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Benjamin Morrison, there was only one player. Well, I guess, yeah, actually two players that played more snaps on defense than Benjamin Morrison. And the guy who had the most snaps is back. His name is Xavier Watts. Literally won, what is it, the Nagurski? Bronco Nagurski Award? Or is that what he won?
I can double check that. Yeah,
Whatever
yeah, Bronco
that.
Nagurski. Yeah.
So
Unanimous All American. Yeah.
now, whether, he deserved it completely over some other guys, that's certainly up for debate. But the guy had seven interceptions, three pass breakups. Um, I mean, what is this? 44 tackles at safety. I mean, played 708 snaps. Graded out very well on PFF. I mean, this is a good football player that had plenty of production, and he's back. So, anytime you got a season uh award winner, such as the Bronco Nagurski Award winner, and you have him coming back. Like it's not often that you have the Nagurski Award winner coming back, you know?
Yeah. And especially alongside a guy like Benjamin Morrison. Absolutely. But he's a guy that kind of took him a while to get going in his career. I mean, he eventually made four starts at the end of his junior season. And then he really hit the ground running this offseason and into this year. Um, just incredible. Obviously, starting to get the interceptions to rack up. Nice game against Ohio State as well. Duke, USC. I mean, he was very, very good for them, and a guy that, like I said, gives them versatility to do things in that back end, which Marcus Freeman loves to be able to do. And for Notre Dame,
Yeah. Well, let's talk about like some of the other guys. What about? I mean, look, who's going to play opposite of Benjamin Morrison, right? That's the question.
yeah, you
It's
got
got
two
to.
guys there competing for it. It's Jaden Mickey and Christian Gray. I mean, both these guys, young kids, second and third years. Gray's a true sophomore. Mickey, I believe, is third year guy. Very, very exciting potential for both of them. I think Gray is a little bit more higher upside and maybe a little bit more raw than Mickey is right now. But I think two guys in a room that they're pretty excited for it. I think they trust both of them to be able to play. It's more about who's going to earn more snaps, which I think is a good thing. It's not like you're trying to find someone to play that second cornerback spot. It's who's going to earn it over the other one, because they're both deserving of it, which is a great problem to have for Notre Dame.
Yeah. I mean, Jaden Mickey played more snaps, but if you look at like PFF's coverage grades, now obviously we take them with a grain of salt, okay, but the only person in the secondary that graded higher than Christian Gray was Benjamin Morrison, you know? And this was, 123 snaps, so it was a pretty decent sample size there, if you ask me. I mean, but I always point to the fact that, while PFF grades are good, they're not perfect, because Tanner Morgan, I believe, was like a top five quarterback in like 2021 or 2022 or something like that.
2019. He was
No, no,
damn
no.
good that
No,
year.
no, no. I'm not talking about that year. I'm talking about on PFF. If you look at the quarterback rankings, it was like 2022 or 2021 where he was graded out as like one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. And I was like, that I would have a different grade. If I was working for PFF, I would have a much different grade. So, but yeah, I think Notre Dame would be happy with either Christian Gray or Jaden Mickey, and it benefits just playing opposite of Benjamin Morrison, right? Like you have this guy that can lock down one end of the field, and while Christian Gray, yeah, he's a true sophomore, maybe he's developing a little bit. Get him in there, get him his snaps. It might look weird at the beginning of the season, but he's played college football before. Now he'll be fine. He will be fine. But let's talk about nickel.
Yeah, wait, real quick on those guys. I think you could see some kind of Terrion Arnold type of rise from these guys where like Morrison is just, I'm not even going to look at him. And that was the same thing with Clay McKinstry. And Arnold ended up being a better cornerback than McKinstry potentially. I'm not going to say that that's going to happen with Morrison because obviously very high on Morrison, but I think you're going to see a lot of opportunity to make some plays. That second cornerback is going to be a position that a lot of teams are going to focus in on, and Gray and Mickey are gonna have to come up to the test. I think they'll have help, obviously, over the top. They can be a little bit more aggressive and might lead to inflating some stats there. But I think you could see these guys that are maybe, national type question marks, like, oh, who's gonna replace Cam Hart? Who's gonna be opposite Benjamin Morrison? And they're gonna turn into a really good season. And that's part of the reason why they're in this list of best position groups.
Yeah, let's talk about Jordan Clark. Good old Ryan Clark's kid, Jordan Clark, coming over from Arizona State. Look, I mean, I don't know that he was the best at Arizona State, but he played hurt. You know, it is what it is. He comes in, sounds like he's ready to go, and feels like Notre Dame in these recent years have put their nickel cornerbacks in a pretty good spot. So it could be just like a hey, maybe Jordan Clark is in a better situation right now, you know, and he'll be able to stand out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. He's gonna be healthy, which is nice. And yeah, like you said, I mean, they do a really good job with their nickel and their back defense backs. It's really really nice. They're also just they're pretty damn. I mean, he's a smaller dude, but he's pretty physical. I mean, I think he can do some nice things for you. I think going to be one of those under the radar transfers where it's like, oh, who's this kid? I mean, oh, he's coming from Arizona State. I mean, they weren't that good last year, and he's going to be a really nice player for them. Like you said, spring reports have been pretty promising right away, and um, sounds good to see that he's back and healthy, because last year was pretty tough for him. But obviously, you got to credit a kid for playing through an injury when maybe it was in his best interest to sit out. But he obviously wanted to play for his team, and he gets that from Ryan Clark, obviously fierce competitor himself back in the day for LSU and in the NFL.